Honorable members, I've been informed that the Whippery agreed that there will be no notices. Oh, Honorable Nyam.
Deputy Chair, I'm checking whether it's parliamentary for the Honorable Labuskaga, and when they said the Deputy Chairperson to be running in front of the Chairperson and confusing us, not knowing who's the Deputy Chairperson.
Okay, that's a point for laughter. As I was saying, honorable members, that I've been informed that the Whippery agreed that there won't be any notices. We now come to the first motion on the order paper as printed in the name of the Chief Whip. Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair of the Council. I am moving the motion as documented on this order paper, the motion on SADC Parliamentary Forum. I'm moving accordingly, Deputy Chair.
As there's no speakers list, I shall now put the question, and the question that the motion be agreed to. In accordance with Rule 71, I shall first allow provinces an opportunity to make a declaration of the vote if they so wish. Is there any province that wishes to make a declaration of vote? In the absence of any, we shall now proceed with the voting in an alphabetical order. Eastern Cape, Free State,
Free State supports.
Gauteng,
Gauteng agrees.
KwaZulu-Natal,
KZN supports.
Limpopo, Mpumalanga.
Mpumalanga agrees, Deputy Chair.
Northern Cape,
Northern Cape agrees, Chair.
Northwest,
Northwest supports, Chair.
Western Cape.
Supports, Chair.
All provinces voted in favor. I therefore declared the report as agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. We shall now proceed to the voting on the question. No, that's not the one. We now come to the second motion on the order paper as printed in the name of the Chief Whip. Chief Whip.
Deputy Chair of Council, I move as depicted on this order paper. I move accordingly, Chair.
As there's no speakers list, I shall now put the question, and the question is that the motion be agreed to. In accordance with Rule 71, I shall first allow provinces an opportunity to make a declaration of vote, if they so wish. Is there any province that wishes to make a declaration of vote? In the absence of any, we shall then proceed with the voting. Eastern Cape?
Eastern Cape support.
Free State?
Free State supports.
Gauteng?
Gauteng agrees.
KwaZulu-Natal?
KwaZulu-Natal supports.
Limpopo? Mpumalanga?
Mpumalanga agrees, Deputy Chair.
Northern Cape?
Northern Cape agrees, Chair.
Northwest?
Northwest supports, Chair.
Western Cape?
Do not support.
Western Cape?
Supports Northwest.
Oh, Western Cape support.
No.
Can you just, Western Cape? Can I just hear the Western Cape?
We support, Chair.
Supports, okay. All 9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the motion as agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. The Secretary will read the first and second orders of the day.
Consideration of Eskom Special Appropriation Bill B16 of 2015.
I therefore call on Honorable Moai.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson, Honorable Minister of Finance, Minister Nene, honorable members. Today, on the 26th of June 2015, we assemble here in Parliament of the Republic of South Africa as a free people. 60 years ago, our people also assembled in Kliptown to demand, among others, that the people must govern and that all national groups must be represented in Parliament. It is in this regard that this House, the National Council of Provinces, gathered at this moment to present the will of the people 60 years on. The Freedom Charter continues to serve as a mobilization tool for all our people of South Africa for a genuine socio-economic emancipation. Honorable members, in line with Section 13, subsection 1 of the Money Bills Act, the two Eskom appropriation bills were referred to the committee for consideration and report. The two bills appropriate funds to Eskom in order to help improve Eskom operations, credit ratings, and also to enhance Eskom additional borrowing capacity. In the 2014 medium-term budget policy statement, the Minister of Finance re-emphasized that a strong, sustainable electricity generation sector is necessary for economy to grow more rapidly. Government committed to enhance Eskom's reliability and performance of the distribution, transmission, and generation system are being made, and additional power is being produced. The package of support introduced in the 2014 medium-term budget policy statement included direct allocation of 20 billion to Eskom, selling of certain non-strategic state assets to raise about 23 billion in order to support Eskom, and also converting the 2008 and 9 special Eskom loan into state shares in Eskom. While utilization of state guarantees to Eskom was expected to raise about 50 billion over the medium term, the government committed that there will be no further guarantees issued. The minister further indicated that over the medium term, any funding of state-owned assets will be contingent on the implementation of sound restructuring plans with strong government oversight, for which we welcome. As legislatively required, the committee held a number of public hearings where various stakeholders made presentations to the committee. Generally, presenters motivated for the proposed granting of financial support to Eskom, but raised some issues such as the need for us to put stronger measures in dealing with this thing, concerns with granting of state guarantees, and also effective oversight over Eskom to ensure the appropriated funds are used to achieve the desired effects. Honorable members, we should recall that Eskom is about electricity generation, storage, and provision, and therefore is a utility that provides basic services. So part of its mandate is developmental. The committee has strongly made some recommendations to ensure effective oversight over Eskom as a measure to support Eskom with its current challenges. National Treasury is expected to comply with its legislative mandate to ensure the utility effectively manage the public funds, assets, and liabilities. The National Treasury is further expected to monitor, evaluate, and report to Parliament on the implementation of current state guarantees to Eskom. Oversight over Eskom by the Department of Public Enterprises is funded through the Portfolio Management and Strategic Partnership Programs of Enterprise Program, which is allocated 52.4 million over the medium term. On the other hand, the Department of Energy also has an oversight role over Eskom due to its mandate to ensure increasing household access to electricity whereby spending on electrification infrastructure is expected to increase to 6.4 billion by 2017-18 financial year. The committee has also noted all the factors that might have contributed to the current Eskom challenges. To redress some of these factors requires effective oversight by select committees and other role players. Another issue that has been raised by some participants is the issue of electricity tariffs that are perceived to be too low to finance Eskom operations and investment needs. The committee is, however, of the view that the notion of low electricity tariffs needs thorough probing and interrogation. The committee found that the proposed bills are in line with government plans to support Eskom with additional funding without worsening the current budget deficit. The committee is further of the view that the perceived negative impact of two bills are far much outweighed by the need to sustain Eskom as a strategic entity in the country. The 2008 and 9 Eskom loan was to be paid over a period of 30 years, while taking into account the medium-term impact of Eskom capital investment plan and Eskom's balance sheet. The committee is of the view that the current conditions, Eskom capital investment plan and balance sheet justify the conversion of the loan into state shares in Eskom. That is for this reason that the Select Committee on Appropriations, honorable members, having considered the Eskom appropriation bills B16, 2015, and B17, 2015, referred to it and classified by the joint taking mechanism as Section 77 bills, reports that it has agreed to the bills without any amendments, and I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I wish to bring to your attention that you should have noted that the bills were dealt with collectively. But in the processing of the voting, or with the voting process, we will then deal with them separately as they are two bills. I shall then now put the question, and before I do that, I would like to inform members that there are proposed amendments to the first order as reflected on the order paper, for which I wish members would have read. In terms of Rule 212, subsection 1 of the Council, in terms of Rule 2125B, the first decision should be on the proposed amendments. I hope that we are following. There are amendments that have been proposed on the first order, and therefore in terms of the rules of the House, we need to deal with the amendments first, even before we get to the second. I shall now put the question, and the question is that the proposed amendments to Eskom Special Appropriation Bill B16 2015 be agreed to. That is the first order. We are going to vote on the proposed amendments. In accordance with Rule 63, I shall first allow political parties to make their declaration of vote if they so wish. Is there any political party that wishes to make a declaration of vote? I'm advised, because of it is in the name of the Honorable Van Ling and on behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I shall first allow the party or the individual to then make a declaration of vote if they so wish. I don't know now if you You haven't caucused. Okay, can I hear the member?
Chairperson, the purpose of the amendment is to give the Minister of Finance the responsibility and also the ability to take charge of this amount of money that's being transferred to the Eskom account to stabilize electricity in South Africa and the industry and jobs and lights for the poor. And it is for this reason that we ask that the Minister must, in writing, within 30 days of assent on all parts of the appropriation, bring the regulations or impose conditions to take control of such a document and the agreement. So in terms of the amendment, we motivate that with giving the Minister of Finance the powers to do what he has to do, we ask that the House agrees to this. I thank you.
Thank you very much. IFP?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Do you want me to stand here or come to the front?
IFP?
You want me to come to the front, Chair, or stand here?
Or you can do it from there.
Okay, thank you, Chair. No, Chairperson, the IFP stands in this House today appealing to the 54 members of the NCOP who represent 52 million of South Africans that we need to be true to our responsibilities, to ourselves, to the people we serve, and let us put South Africa first before the parties we represent. We want to invoke within colleagues, the honorable members of the NCOP, a spirit of Ubuntu, spirit of goodwill embedded in the rightfully reflected in the ideals of our Constitution. We want to believe that honorable members have come to this important sitting with an open mind. We want to engage objectively and on issues before us in order to serve South Africa in the best possible way. The IFP maintains that as this House, we have no choice in the matter but to approve the bill. It is either we agree to provide the 23 billion to Eskom, or Eskom will spiral further downwards.
No. I'm trying to listen and follow the member so that I'm able to correct him.
Yes.
We are dealing with the amendments as proposed by the Democratic Alliance.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, Chairperson.
Okay.
Not statements as yet.
Oh, yes, no.
Oh.
We are dealing with the amendments. Honorable members, can I preside over this? That is why I was trying to follow the member very clearly.
Can I check first, are we still going to get a chance for statements?
Yes, we are coming there.
Thank you.
Yes.
The IFP supports the amendments.
The IFP supports the amendments as proposed by the team. Okay. Any other political party? ANC?
No, Chair, we want to bring to the attention of the honorable members that the minister responsible on behalf of the South African government is the main shareholder in this regard and has a responsibility to bring about stability and implement any matter that is going to bring about stability in the Eskom matters. Inherently, as the ANC, we want to rise and say, we are bestowed with the responsibility by an overwhelming majority of the electorate to ensure that decisions that we take resonate with the expectations and the aspirations of our people. Therefore, we don't want to be deterred by such an amendment. In fact, the very intent and purpose of the amendment is to cast aspersion on the stamina and the thinking ability of the minister responsible, that this capable minister can't exercise his discretionary power to accede to the aspiration of the people by taking decisions that are necessary with the confines of the law, of course. And therefore, we want to stand up and reject this amendment, and the people, including those affected by the isolated reported flooding in Cape Town, deserved energy security, and this same bill is going to afford the minister to intervene accordingly. Therefore, we don't agree with the amendment. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Honorable members, we shall now proceed to the voting on the question. I don't know if the machines are working. On what point are you rising, Honourable Member?
Chair, are you going to put this to a vote now, the question before the House? Because the DA would like to call for a division.
Okay. There is a division called by the Democratic Alliance. Honorable members, once more, the division that is being called by the Democratic Alliance is on the amendments. No. I'm trying to avoid an earlier situation that found Honorable Kaula. All right, thank you very much. We will then proceed with the voting on the question. Shall we be seated as we are seated? Okay. Can the chief, provincial whip of the DA assist us with the counting, and Honorable Mampuru assist us with the counting? Those in favor and those against. Can we start? Those in favor of the amendments? Can you put up your hand? The amendments as proposed by the Democratic Alliance. Are you done? Okay. Can we then get the, and then those who abstain? Okay. Can I have the results? Yes, that's what I'm starting. Oh, how do you feel this one? Oh, okay. 11. Support. Okay. And then? Oh, I thought I did it to concur. Can we get the results insofar as those who are against? Those who are against? 25. Honorable members, we are dealing with the proposed amendments. Yes. Now I have the results of those who voted in favor of the amendments, and I'm asking for the results of those who voted against the amendments. No. We have already agreed that Honorable Labuskaghni will help, for which Honorable Labuskaghni has already given us the results. And then those who vote against the proposed amendments, can I get the number? 25. Okay. Honorable members, the honorable members, no. I'm not considering that. No, I'm not considering that. Honorable Mikalakis?
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Chairperson. Deputy Chairperson, I rise in terms of Rule 66C that says the officer presiding must put the question again and then instruct the ayes and noes and members abstaining to take their seats in areas designated by the officer presiding. I respectfully submit that a division calls for a physical division within this House in terms of Rule 66C. I would request you that we stick to those rules and that we
Honorable
interpret
members, you
them
know,
in that
we
way.
are just
Thank you.
wasting time now because I did put the question and I even, honorable members, can you just be in order, please? Because I even asked members whether if we should physically move and members said no, we are fine. But then, for the sake of the rules, can we physically divide? Those who are in favor of the amendments, can you move this side? Order, honorable members. Honorable Julius, I thought you were long there. I thought you were long there. Honorable Julius. Honorable Tile.
There seems to be a little bit of confusion here. It's like other members are buying me, so maybe you can dangle your carrot. Maybe I'll be able to.
Honorable Tile, you're out of order. Can you take a
This is the
seat,
thing.
please?
I'm abstaining because I'm not even
Abstention, can you?
At the back.
Yes.
Okay.
Honorable members, order, order. Order, honorable members. Can voting start now? Counting start. Those who vote in favor of the amendments, may the counting start. And those who vote against the amendments, may the counting start. Honorable Labuskaghni will help me with those who vote in favor. Honorable Mampuru will help with those who vote against. Can that proceed, please? Honorable Labuskaghni. Oh, okay. Honorable Mampuru. Honorable House Chair.
The task to a person that will be assisting you with those that will be abstaining. So let's give that responsibility to Honorable Mtileni.
No, thank you very much. Honorable Mtileni will assist with the counting on those who abstain. All right, can you give the results, please? Okay. Honorable members, the results are as follows. 11 members voted in favor of the amendment. 25 members voted against, or yes, against the amendment. And 1 member abstained from voting. Therefore, the majority of members have voted against the proposed amendments. I therefore declare the proposed amendments as not being agreed to. We shall now put the question in respect of the Eskom. Must listen again. We shall now put the question in respect of the Eskom Special Amendment Bill B16 2015. And the question is that the bill be agreed to as presented by Honorable Mohai. In accordance with Rule 63, I shall first allow political parties to make their declaration of vote if they so wish. Are there any political parties that wishes to make a declaration of vote? Honorable Mtile? From there.
Ah, no, it says here.
All right, Honorable Mtile?
Okay, thanks. Chair, context is important. The Komati Power Station was first in 1961, and Majuba Power Station was last in 1996. There's been more than 3.8 million new households added to the electricity grid since 1994. But the ANC government failed to recognize the need for new power stations or maintenance of the aging ones. In 2006, the minister came to Parliament to ask for loans to save Eskom. In 2010, Eskom went to the World Bank to borrow more than 30 billion, but still failed to stabilize electricity supply. When Parliament approved the loan, the Minister of Finance was tasked with the responsibility to ensure the infrastructure projects were managed accordingly. But the minister neglected that responsibility. Today, Eskom spent more than 50 billion on loan and interest. National Treasury want to wish away a 60 billion loan. In real terms, governments stand to lose more than 80 billion of interest in potential revenue. While infrastructure deteriorate unattended, rotting, ordinary South Africans sit in the dark. Eskom executive and directors paid themselves more than 170 billion in salaries and other benefits over 3 years. Eskom failed to show Parliament any efforts in place to reduce wasteful expenditure. Instead, they blame the poor for accessing electricity. It is the ANC government that refused to build additional infrastructure. 1998 white paper on energy was clear about the need to build new power stations. It took 13 years for the ANC to realize that South Africa will not have electricity in 2015. Today, Eskom spent more than 50 billion on loan and interest, and the National Treasury want to wish away a 60 billion loan to allow Eskom to borrow another 50 billion, even from the Minister of Finance. None of this does not make financial sense. It is not a coincidence, Honorable Chair. The National Treasury want Parliament to give Eskom 23 billion. This is the exact amount Eskom need for a loan repayment, not to enhance electricity generation capacity as claimed by Eskom. Now, if between 1996 and 2007, Eskom was not involved in any capex expenditure, where does this debt come from? Honorable Minister, and the rest of the ANC members, or honorable members, use the majority in Parliament to validate corruption openly. The EFF refused to. The EFF refused to be party to
your
this.
time has expired. Your time has expired.
Telkom.
No, who's
left
sitting? No, leave him. Honorable members, order. I mean, you can realize that I've switched off the mic of the member. I'm not taking him to any consideration. I'm not taking the remarks that he's making serious. But you are busy engaging with the member. I don't know why. I saw the Democratic Alliance.
Like you. Honorable Chairperson, thank you for the opportunity to allow us to make this declaration. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I would like to make the following declaration on the Eskom Appropriation Bill. The Eskom Appropriation Bill is set to bail out Eskom to the amount of 23 billion rand. The purpose of the bill is to appropriate additional funding for the Department of Public Enterprises to increase the state's equity investment in Eskom Holdings Limited. The 23 billion, according to government, will come from the sale of non-strategic assets and will be paid out, of course, in 3 tranches. The first tranche of 10 billion has to be paid by the end of June, which is next week. The DA notes that Eskom must remain solvent to continue providing electricity to South Africa. Albeit our concern is that no clarity has been given around the sale of state assets. The questions that remain are what assets exactly are up for sale, how these assets were identified, how the bidding process of these assets proceeded, and of course, if any purchase agreements have to date been physically concluded. No. It is no secret that Eskom finances are at its worst since South Africa became a democracy. Debt is currently close to 300 billion, with debt service doubling from 4.2 billion in 2008-09 to over 9 billion in 2013-14. This is double the cost of this period. As confirmed, the CFO of Eskom has resigned. If the CFO, the most strategic money man within Eskom, decides to leave the company, it further confirms the lack of financial direction and instability that Eskom has provided to the South African public. Due to the lack, in conclusion, of transparency of the sale of publicly owned assets, the inevitable cost increases of electricity, Eskom's dire financial situation, as confirmed by the public announcement that the Eskom CFO has resigned, the DA cannot support this bill. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kaula.
Ngiyathokoza sihlalo ohloniphekile ngiqhubekela ngigcine khona ngoba sengiqalile. The IFP maintains that as this House, we have no choice in the matter but to approve the bill. It is either we agree to provide the 23 billion to Eskom, or Eskom will spiral further downwards into a greater liquidity crisis and sink. We dare not allow that to happen. But we need to be responsible in the way you offer this assistance. In the past trend of bailouts without proper checks and balances, if the past trend of bailouts without proper checks and balances continues, it means there are absolutely no lessons learned in all these trippings. The NCOP, as a second house of this parliament, which amongst other things, need to provide scrutiny to the bills passed to it by the National Assembly. Why do we have to go through the same process that the National Assembly has already gone through? So that where there may have been oversight and slippery, the NCOP provides the necessary oversight. Therefore, the IFP supported approval of the bill with amendments, especially for the very oversight responsibility that we have to provide. There is a difference between the Minister of Finance may and the Minister of Finance must. May is optional, whereas must is obligatory. Therefore, we cannot simply leave it at the discretion of the Minister to report for accountability purposes. But we must insert a meaning which obliges the Minister to report so that we do not repeat the mistakes of the past which have contributed to landing the SOCs in the red. Also, the insertion of on all parts instead of some parts makes it obligatory for adequate accountability to happen. This House, amongst other things, is about accountability. Therefore, let us move away from the clauses which enforce accountability in the legislation we pass. As NCOP, we are not just about rubber stamping without scrutiny. We are not just about endorsing without applying a critical mind. We look at all the options and close all the gaps. This amendment is about closing possible gaps because laws are not about the current character of incumbents, but laws outlive the incumbents. Honorable Chairperson, today is one sad day in the course of service delivery, where the report states that sustainability of the service is crumbling unless bailout is offered. If ministries cannot put internal controls in the entities that they oversee, let the wisdom of legislation devise that for them. In conclusion, let me remind this House that Parliament has a constitutional duty of oversight and accountability. This constitutional duty is grounded on the principle of legality. If we do not safeguard the principle of legality, accountability and oversight is no more. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other political party? ANC?
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. As the ANC, we here now declare that we support the capital injection, not bailout of Eskom. And there are two different aspects to this. The one is for capital expenditure, Honorable Ntileni. It is not for the payment of salaries or operations. It is for capital expenditure, the 23 billion. There are two different debt figures that are that were labeled here. One is 3 billion. You have an account of 23 billion, and I'm not sure which one is the correct one. So maybe we must scrutinize where it is that you get your reports. But the reality is that in South Africa, the economic growth is linked to energy supply. And if we don't have sufficient energy supply, we will not have adequate economic growth in this country. This is not about you and I who can afford to pay for electricity services and are irritated by blackouts or load shedding. But this is about those who don't even have access currently to electricity and energy supply because there isn't enough energy generation. The only way to get ample energy generation is to continue building it. We can't supply energy to 45 million South Africans with the current energy supply. Eskom needs to be saved in order for it to continue growing, number one. Number two, the state has a responsibility as a majority shareholder. And if you were a majority shareholder in any company, you would be in the same position to inject capital, your own capital, into your own going concern. And that is the reality. So today, it's not about you and I who will be affected by blackouts or irritated by load shedding. It's about those who have yet to switch on a switch and get access to electricity. Eskom has a responsibility, and we have a responsibility as South Africans to supply 45 million South Africans with electricity. We declare as the ANC that we support both the 23 billion capital injection into the Eskom and the conversion of the loan into capital. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We shall now proceed to the voting on the question. We shall now proceed to the voting on the question. Those in favor, of course, physical, no, there's no division that has been called. Can we have the counting of members? Those who vote in favor, those who abstain, there's that strategic location, and those who are against. And I want to can I Can I get the results? Ah. And they want to be taken serious. Okay. 25. Those against? Those against? Hey man, Mtileni, can you be in order? Are you voting against now? Okay, Honorable Mtileni, you are voting against. Sit down now. Can you please sit down? No, you are disrupting the House now. Are you voting against, or are you voting in favor, or do you abstain?
Or by way of raising a hand? I'm voting against.
All right, join those who vote
So you are
against.
the one confusing me.
Can you join those who vote against? Honorable Mtileni, in terms of the very same rules of this House, honorable members, order. You can't be standing in the House if... Can I get the 25 in favor? And then abstentions, 1. All right, honorable members, 25 members voted in favor, 11 against, and 1 abstention. Therefore, the majority of members voted in favor. I therefore declared the bill as agreed in terms of Section 75 of the Constitution. I shall now put the question in respect to the second order, and the question is that the bill be agreed to. In accordance with Rule 63, I shall first allow political parties to make their declaration of vote if they so wish. No political party wishes to make a declaration of vote. We shall now, in respect of the second vote, okay, proceed. DA.
Honorable Chairperson, again, I must thank you for the opportunity to allow us to make the declaration. So again, on behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I would like to make the following declaration on the Eskom Subordinated Loan Special Appropriation Amendment Bill. This bill seeks to convert a 60 billion government loan to Eskom into equity to reduce Eskom's debt by 24.4 billion. I would ask that Honorable Motara concentrate. Eskom is currently in a state of crisis, which includes a lack of political leadership, mismanagement as a public enterprise, financial instability, and further technical issues with a lack of generation capacity, power station build problems, and of course, huge maintenance backlogs. Eskom previously had a better credit rating, Chairperson, than our government's sovereign debt. Currently, Eskom's long-term debt is fast approaching 300 billion rand. Millions of South Africans are still experiencing load shedding, correctly so, despite Eskom's acting CEO, Brian Molefe, assuring us that during this winter, we will be load shedding free.
Will he last that long?
I wonder. And yet, Eskom has asked for another tariff hike. Eskom has asked for another tariff hike of 25.3%, and that NERSA is currently doing public hearings on. Considering the 23 billion bailout application by Eskom to Parliament, tariff increases that will do irreparable damage to our economy, and the request for government to write off a further 60 billion loan, the DA cannot Honorable Chairperson, support this bill. And before I conclude, I would remind Honorable Mutara that it is the 20 years pathetic planning of the ANC. That is why you and I are currently experiencing load shedding, irrespective of whether we can afford it or not. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other political party? Honorable Prince.
Thank you, Chairperson. Firstly, I want to say that this member who is standing here doesn't belong to this committee even. Honorable Chairperson, on Tuesday we saw the National Assembly adopting the bill which outlined government support package for Eskom. Today it's before this House for adoption. Voorsitter, Eskom is 'n strategiese bate. Die staatsonderneming tel onder die 5 grootste elektrisiteitsmaatskappye in die wêreld. Ek sien die eindtyd profete wil Eskom oor die afgrond dryf, maar die ANC-regering het 'n besluit geneem dat Eskom in sy huidige toestand sal voortgaan. Eskom sal verskaf 95% van die land se elektrisiteit en ons sal voortgaan om die staatsonderneming te versterk. Ons hou vordering van Eskom se infrastruktuurprojekte fyn dop. Die nuwe Medupi kragstasie se eenheid 6 is reeds besig om gemiddeld 800 megawatt aan die kragnetwerk te verskaf. Nou sien ons uit na dit binne die volgende 12 weke amptelik in diens geneem gaan word. Verder is die Sere windplaas naby Koekenaap aan die Kaapse Weskus besig om 100 megawatt aan die netwerk te verskaf. Ons as 'n komitee moet na hierdie model gaan kyk wat Eskom binne die tydskaal voltooi het. Hoewel Eskom 'n tariefverhoging aangevra het, sal die ANC verseker dat die armes beskerm word teen buitensporige verhogings. Ons doen 'n beroep op Eskom om sy vakante uitvoerende bestuurposte so gou as moontlik te
Honorable
vul.
members, order. Order, please.
Ons doen 'n beroep op Eskom om sy vakante uitvoerende bestuurposte so gou as moontlik te vul om te verseker dat die staatsonderneming optimaal bestuur word. The ANC supports these bills which will enable key intervention to stabilize the electricity sector. Furthermore, I will ensure that Eskom continues to connect more South Africans to the grid. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I must just make the point, you know, it was so interesting when Honorable Isaac made a declaration on behalf of the DA. Not even a single interruption did he experience. But as soon as a member of another party makes a declaration, he couldn't hold himself and kept on interrupting the other member. The point that I'm raising, can you take your seats, honorable members? I'm still addressing you. I'm still addressing you. I'm still addressing you. I'm still addressing you. The point that I'm trying to make here is what we have consistently been saying, that there's nothing wrong to heckle. But don't present yourself in such a manner that interrupts and in actual fact interferes with the right of another member to address this House. Then that becomes a problem. But to be lively and interact and heckle and so forth, it's not a problem. Because at some point, there are words that we use which might not be comfortable words to be used during that interruption or interjection by you who is not at the podium. So please, honorable members, I'm just raising this as a point for us to consider at all times. I see two DA members on their feet. I don't know who to recognize first. Honorable Faber.
Thank you, Chairperson. Again, it's happening again. I must remind you that if you are on that seat, you need to apply the rules. And the rule says heckling is allowed and it stops there. If you see I'm out of order, then you stop me and you say I'm out of order and you call me to order. You were biased now because you are protecting the ANC in this house. If
What
the
is your point of
ANC
order,
heckled
honorable
us,
member?
You can stop them. If
What is
we
your point of
heckle,
order?
And my point of order is that you are biased.
Thank you very much. I take the point. Once more. Can you take a seat? You have raised your point. Allow me to make a ruling on that particular point of order that you have just made. And in making a ruling on that point, I would once more want to remind this House that there is a ruling. Can you take your seat, Honorable Mtile? There is a ruling that was made 2 days before by the chair to the very same member who's raising the issue of biasness, casting aspersion on presiding officers, to present a substantive motion for this matter to be further engaged around the issue of biasness. Because how many times have I been calling members to order? And they kept on behaving in a manner in which they were behaving. It's not like as if I was just quiet and looking at members interrupting the engagement of a member. I kept on calling members to order. And they just kept on disregarding the order that I was calling. So I don't know. I would just reiterate and reaffirm the position or the ruling that was made by the chairperson of the council that a substantive motion be presented to the House by the Honorable Member Julius to the House for this matter to be further engaged. Honorable Faber, on what point are you rising?
Chairperson, it is not up to the chairperson to make an assumption on when a certain party
What is the point of order, Honorable Chair?
Chairperson, hear me out, please. I'm speaking. Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, my point of order is exactly what.
No, then
Julius
if
was saying
that
on
is the case, then there
on
is
the
a
bias,
ruling.
Because,
No.
Chairperson,
Can you take
made
your
an
seat, Honorable
assumption.
Member?
You made an assumption that certain
Can you
parties.
take a seat?
That is a political
Can
assumption.
you take your seat, Honorable Member? Because there is a ruling. If it is the same order, there is a ruling on that order. There's no need for you to remind me of a ruling that has been made on a particular order. Honorable members, we shall now proceed to the voting on the question. You want to make a declaration of vote? Okay, proceed, Honorable Member.
It's interesting, Chair.
Do not interrupt the member, Honorable Mampuru.
Now, if between 1996 and 2007, Eskom was not involved in any capex expenditure, what does this debt come from? The minister and the rest of the ANC used their majority in parliament to validate corruption openly. The EFF refused to be party to this. Today, the House passed the bill to write off Eskom loan. Tomorrow it will be passing one other.
Honorable Mampuru, can you just take your seat?
To forget Nkanda upgrade.
Sorry. I'm thinking of the whip now. Honorable Mtileni. Honorable Mtileni, may you please take your seat there. Honorable Kut.
Okay.
Because Honorable Deputy Chairperson, ingaba unabona ndicela ubuza uba ungaba ndicela ukwenza iorder Honorable Deputy Chairperson.
Yes,
Honorable Mtileni uthi ANC corrupt. Unabona ubufa irongo lonto because akanabo ubungqina bokuthetha ngolo hlobo.
It's not for you to tell me how to rule on the matter. Honorable members. You see now? You see? That's the exact behavior that I'm talking about. And then once I make a comment on such behavior, we will then be told of other words. But I don't want to get involved in that.
cannot be a referee and a player at the same time. It doesn't happen. You can't. That's why you always rule.
Honorable Mtileni, you're out of order. Do you know that? There is a point of order that is being raised by a member for which I've recognized, and the member is on her feet. She's addressing me.
A point of debate, not a point of order. It's a point of debate, that one that she's raising. Point of debate.
Honorable, was that the point of order that you were raising? Honorable,
Can you rule, Chair?
thank you very
on the
much.
statement?
Thank you very much. Thank you
Yes.
very much. Honorable members, you know what? You know what? I think the point must be made. But no, let me not even raise it. I think this is a matter I recognize, and I think it is only fair for me to make a point in this House that this matter will be reported to the chair for matters to be dealt with. We can't continue like this. We can't continue like this. I am going to report this matter to the chairperson, and the chairperson will then make a pronouncement on how we are going to proceed from now on henceforth. Can't be consistently undermined in the manner in which we are experiencing, where even a member who said the behavior of Honorable Mtileni, it's just not on. All right, it's a matter that will be reported. Honorable Member, Mguku, I didn't hear the context in which the word corruption was used. Can you allow me to, Honorable Mtileni, I've not yet given you an opportunity to attend to the podium. I would satisfy myself first and then make a ruling in the next sitting. Honorable Mtileni, can you continue with your declaration?
Yesterday, Deputy President and his friends at Glencore negotiated tenders to supply Eskom with coal. Today, he has a total control over Eskom decisions through the war room. Decisions are made secretively or privately. Coal is purchased with a total disregard of procurement procedures, and inflated prices are paid. Worker salaries have been stagnant for more than 2 decades, while capital accumulation increases drastically, and two kids died in Limpopo province because poor families cannot afford food. The government failed to provide sufficient social protection to majority of poor South Africans. To begin with, Eskom as a state-owned company was never designed to operate on a cost recovery basis or profit, but in the interest of the nation.
Honorable Mtileni, can you take your seat? Honorable Madile, on what point are you raising?
On a point of order, Chair, Honorable Deputy Chair. Honorable Mutileni is misleading the House. It's disorderly for him to say workers' salary have been stagnant for 2 decades. It's very untrue, and we move that he withdraw such.
Aman, I sustain that order.
To begin with, Eskom as a state-owned company was never designed to operate on a cost recovery basis or profit, but in the interest of the nation. The Minister of Finance, Honorable Nhlanhlanene, is secretly engaging in deals to sell off what is considered non-core assets, but has so far failed to tell Parliament what exactly are these non-core assets. If Eskom privatized like Vodacom, MTN, and Telkom, majority of South Africans will be left in the dark as prices of electricity increase for profit, like what we have seen with mobile services. The Secretary General of the ANC, Gwede Mantashe, has publicly denied that they plan to sell off part of Eskom and assured the public, however, it appears that the bureaucrats at the National Treasury are doing the opposite. A clear indication of lack of policy coherence and coordination by the ANC government. It remains the responsibility of government to ensure there is sufficient electricity supply, and Eskom, together with the National Treasury, must reduce wastage and eradicate corruption.
Your time has expired.
EFF reject the Eskom Special Appropriation Bill and Eskom Subordinated Goal Special Appropriation Amendment Bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We shall now proceed to the voting on the question. Members may vote, but because of now we have moved and so forth, can we have a head count insofar as the voting is concerned? Honorable Mampuru, may you assist me with those in favor? Honorable Kaula, those who abstain, and then Honorable Labuskach, those who are against.
Just for procedure, the DI calls in a division. We already divided, but just for the recording. Thank you.
Therefore, the counting will then begin. Division has been called for record purposes. Is it still 11? All right, the results are as follows, honorable members. 11 members against, 25 members in support, and 1 member abstaining. Therefore, the majority of members voted in favor. I therefore declare the bill as agreed to in terms of Section 75 of the Constitution. Honorable members, that concludes the business of the day, and the House is adjourned.